The Golden Standard Podcast, brought to you by WeSellSilverandGold.com. Connect with us online to buy gold and silver at cost, or start your own journey into gold and silver as a low-cost online business and wealth generator by visiting earnmoreincomeNow.com. All right, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into something pretty exciting: gold prices. They've smashed past $3,200 for the first time ever. What's going on?
Yeah, it's quite the headline, isn't it? A real milestone. We saw the spot price actually hit $3,214.92.
Oh.
And even a bit higher, $3,280.84 earlier in the session.
Right.
And it's not just spot U.S. gold futures. They jumped too.
Yeah.
Up to $3,233.80. That's like a 5% gain just for the week.
A 5% gain in a week. That's significant.
It really is. And, the key is understanding why. What's driving all this positive momentum?
Okay, let's get into that. What are the main forces pushing gold up to these record levels?
Well, a big piece of the puzzle is definitely the U.S. dollar. It's been weakening quite a bit.
Right.
The U.S. dollar index is actually sitting at a 10-year low.
10 years? Okay.
So when the dollar gets weaker relative to other currencies, gold basically becomes cheaper for anyone buying it with, say, euros or yen.
Ah, okay. So it's like a discount for international buyers. Makes sense. More demand.
Exactly.
Wrong.
Opens the door for more buying globally. But that's not the whole story.
I was going to say, I'm hearing a lot about economic jitters, too. Recession fears.
Precisely. Those fears are definitely mounting, and they act as a major catalyst. Historically, when people get worried about the economy, they look for safe places to put their money.
And gold is the classic safe haven.
It really is. A primary port of call in uncertain times. Plus, you've got ongoing trade tensions simmering.
Right, between the major economies.
Yeah. Even though President Trump paused some tariffs, the underlying anxiety, especially around measures against China, it hasn't really gone away. Adds another layer of uncertainty.
So it sounds like a combination, almost a perfect storm, creating this really supportive environment for gold.
That's a good way to put it. And we're hearing this from experts, too.
Oh, yeah.
Alexander Zumpfe over at Heraeus Metals, Germany, he highlights these very things: the recession risks, soaring bond yields, which is another factor, and that weak dollar we talked about.
So he sees them all working together.
Exactly. Reinforcing gold's traditional role. It's seen as a hedge against crisis, but also against potential inflation.
And the performance this year reflects that, right? I saw spot gold is up nearly 21%.
And it's 21% year to date. That's a really strong rally.
What's been holding it up so consistently?
Well, beyond the uncertainties, we've seen really strong demand from central banks. They've been buying.
Okay, institutional buying.
Definitely. And also, interestingly, record amounts of money flowing into gold-backed ETFs.
Ah, so that means individuals and maybe smaller institutions are getting into?
It suggests a pretty broad base of interest, yeah. It's not just one type of investor driving this.
So looking forward then, do analysts think this run can continue, or is this the peak?
Well, nobody knows for sure, of course, but the sentiment thing's pretty positive. Giovanni Staunovo at UBS, for instance, he thinks gold has further to run.
Really? Did he give a target?
He did. He mentioned a potential upside target somewhere between $3,400 and $3,500 an ounce in the coming months.
Wow, $3,400 to $3,500. That's quite bullish.
It certainly points to continued confidence in gold right now.
Now, what about recent economic data? Does that play into this narrative? We saw some inflation numbers.
Right. The U.S. consumer prices for March actually dropped unexpectedly. That was a bit of a surprise. And everyone's now watching for the upcoming producer price data. That could give us more clues about inflation and, maybe influence what the Federal Reserve does next.
The Fed, always the big question. And interest rates seem key here too, right? What are people expecting?
Exactly. The market, or traders at least, seem to be pricing in potential interest rate cuts.
The cuts. Starting when?
Possibly as early as June.
Yeah.
And some are even forecasting maybe a full percentage point cut by the end of the year.
A full percentage point.
Okay. And lower interest rates generally make gold more attractive. Because gold doesn't pay interest, right? So when rates on bonds or savings go down, gold looks better by comparison.
Makes sense. Less opportunity cost to holding gold.
Precisely. So that expectation of lower rates is definitely adding fuel to the bullish fire for gold.
So pulling this all together for our listeners, faced with this economic uncertainty, the dollar situation, potential rate cuts, what's the main takeaway?
Well, I think when you connect all those dots, it paints a pretty clear picture. In this kind of environment, considering precious metals, like gold, as a potential way to protect your wealth, it seems like a strategy worth thinking about seriously right now.
A way to potentially safeguard things in uncertain times.
That's the traditional role, and the current factors seem to be highlighting it again.
The Golden Standard Podcast brought to you by WeSellSilverAndGold.com. Connect with us online to buy gold and silver at cost or start your own journey into gold and silver as a low-cost online business and wealth generator by visiting unmoreincomenow.com. This incredible climb in gold really does underscore its enduring role, doesn't it? Especially when the economic waters look a bit choppy. Definitely food for thought for your own financial strategy.